This will sound very strange, but when the U.S. Senate candidate from Pennsylvania spoke at a rally and the American flags fell behind him, it was a major prophecy from God that is predicting that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash that will be caused due to a bird strike in St. Louis on precisely December 26th, 2022. The date that this video is posted proves that this prediction was made ahead of time, as does this timestamped email and forensic notes PDF. If you are skeptical, please email me and I will forward these to you. After Harris's death, she will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and soon after, Barack Obama will replace Michelle. This is the reason why Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash. It is so that Barack Obama can become the president again. It is predicted that Michelle Obama will very soon become the 47th president, and soon after that, Barack Obama will become the 48th president. In the Bible, a goat is symbolism for the Antichrist. In pop culture, goat stands for greatest of all time. Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash after her plane's engine will suffer a bird strike. As a result, the goat Antichrist will come to power. The GOAT of college football coaching died at the age of 61 and was born in 1961. The GOAT Antichrist was born in 1961 and will become the president again and the Antichrist at the age of 61. Coach Mike Leach won 84 games with the Texas Tech Raiders, and this year when he died at the age of 61, his team had a record of 8-4. The GOAT Antichrist was born on the date 8/4 in 1961. In the Bible, a period of 10 days is symbolism for the period of persecution from the GOAT Antichrist in the end times. It is predicted that on December 26th, Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash due to a bird strike, and it is predicted that there will be a prophetic sign that will be related to this that will occur on December 23rd, 10 days after the GOAT of college football coaching died. Coach Mike Leach was famous for leading the FBS conference in offense in 10 of his 21 seasons as a coach, and he was famous for coaching the Texas Tech Red Raiders for 10 years, and he was famous for his revolutionary air raid style of offense. The name Air Raid hints at a bird strike of Kamala Harris's airplane. On the same day that Coach Mike Leach died was the day that the hockey player for the Washington Capitals, player number 8, scored 3 goals in a game to become only the 3rd player in history to score 800 goals in their career. The other 2 players to reach this milestone wore jersey number 9 and jersey number 99, because the number 9 is the most important number in God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, as from the Bible it symbolizes God's judgment. And God was pointing to this judgment, and he was pointing to these 2 players that wore jersey 9 and 99 through this player's 800th goal on this day. This player was awarded the MVP honor when the Washington Capitals won the Stanley Cup in their 44th season, which hinted at the 44th president in the nation's capital in Washington. His 3 goals on December 13th were in Chicago, the hometown of the 44th president. His jersey number 8 and 800 goals was to confirm that the event that is described in Revelation chapter 8, a catastrophic solar flare, coronal mass ejection from the sun, hit of the earth, will occur exactly 400 days after this on January 17th, 2024. But this will be explained in another video. This player scored 3 goals to make him the 3rd player in history to reach the career milestone on the same day of the death of the coach who coached the Red Raiders for 10 years. The reason for 3 goals to make him the 3rd player was to confirm that 10 days and then an additional 3 days from this day will be the predicted date that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash due to a bird strike. The air raid coach died 96 days after the Queen of England died at the age of 96 as a result of Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash due to a bird strike. Michelle Obama will become the Queen of America. Michelle Obama will return to the White House as a result of Harris's death in a plane crash due to a bird strike that will be 10 days after the death of the air raid coach who coached the Red Raiders for 10 years, which in turn was 97 days after she returned to the White House for the unveiling of her portrait on the date September 7th, which is 9/7 and hints at 97, because 97 is the 25th prime number, and the 25th Amendment will be used to make her the president, and then the 25th Amendment will be used to make her husband the president again. Michelle Obama will replace the 49th U.S. Vice President and then become the president as a result of the death of the 49th Vice President in a plane crash caused by a bird strike, which will be 10 days after the death of the air raid coach who coached the Red Raiders for 10 years, and this was in turn exactly 49 months after her book Becoming was released, because she will become the president. Michelle Obama will become the first female president and the 47th president as a result of Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash that will be 10 days after the death of the air raid coach who coached the Red Raiders for 10 years, which in turn was exactly 47 weeks after the death of Lucia Harris, the Queen of Basketball, who was the first and only woman to be drafted by the NBA, and Michelle Obama will replace Kamala Harris, the first female vice president, and then become the first female president, the 47th president, and her husband is the basketball president. The death of the GOAT of college football coaching, the air raid coach, which hints at the bird strike of Kamala Harris's airplane, died exactly 1,109 weeks after the air raid on the Twin Towers and the Pentagon on 9/11 in 2001. The number 1109 hints at 110 and 9. God pairs the numbers 110 and 9 together to point to the 110 floors of the Twin Towers that collapsed, and George Washington's walk down Wall Street after his first inauguration at Federal Hall, and into the church that was the only building at Ground Zero to have survived the falling debris, due to the uprooted sycamore tree that sheltered and protected Trinity Church. In God's judgment warning to ancient Israel in the book of the prophet Isaiah 9:11 says that the buildings have collapsed and the sycamore trees have been uprooted. In what today is known as the Miracle Chapel, George Washington consecrated the nation to God, saying that if the nation were to ever turn away from God, it would lose its divine protection and blessings. Wall Street is named after the 9-foot-high wall of security that the Dutch built to keep the British and the Indians out. And in the Bible, Joshua died at the age of 110, and he led the Hebrews around the walls of security before they collapsed in God's judgment. And Joshua and the Hebrews crossed the Jordan River into the Promised Land on the date 110 in the Hebrew calendar, which hints at the number 110. God pairs the numbers 110 and 9 together to symbolize all of this. And Joshua is a type for Jesus, and Jesus' first coming was officially on the date 110 in the Hebrew calendar. 2 towers that were each 110 stories high is symbolism for Jesus' second coming. That God pairs 9 and 110 together to point to 9/11 is the reason why the iconic Air Force plane in the collapse of Afghanistan on the prophetic 20th anniversary of the collapsed 110-story buildings on 9/11 was number 1109, which hints at 110 and 9. Barack Obama will become the president again as a result of the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash, which is predicted to be 10 days after the death of the air raid coach, which was exactly 1109 weeks after the planes crashed into the Twin Towers on 9/11. Barack Obama will become the president again as a result of the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash, which is predicted to be 10 days after the death of the air raid coach, which was exactly 90,011 days after the nation was born on July 4th, 1776. America will lose its independence 90,011 days after it established its independence. This video is also predicting that famous actor James Earl Jones, the voice of the Lion King and the voice of Darth Vader, will die on December 30th, 2022. This video is also predicting that there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit on Earth on September 2nd, 2023. This will be a fulfillment of what is described in the book of Revelation in the Bible in chapter 8. It has been known since the autumn of 2020 that she will die in a plane crash. But as can be seen here in this email, it was known since August of 2021. Currently at this time, there is no way of knowing where Kamala Harris plans to be on December 26th. But if her plane crash occurs in St. Louis, then another video on this channel that is titled Prediction Harris's Plane Will Crash in St. Louis on December 26th will become one of the most important videos on this channel. Once this prediction comes to pass, you should know that you need to watch every minute of every video on this channel, including every Kamala Harris prediction video and James Earl Jones prediction video. There is specific and unique and important messages from God in each of the videos. However, arguably one of the top most important Kamala Harris videos is the 1989 World Series earthquake prophecy video. I have also titled this video Church of Philadelphia Signs. In the description box below, I will leave links to these videos. In the most important video on this channel, which is titled God's Purpose for These Predictions, I will explain the reason for why God has given me a voice through this prediction that is from God. You are making a very grave and serious error if you think you already know how I was able to know this prediction, and more importantly, if you think you already know why I was able to know this prediction. It would be very foolish for you to skip watching this most important video. You will have missed the point of this prediction. One of the purposes for this prediction is to establish that the main conclusions being stated in this video are fact. It is a serious warning for those that disagree with the things being stated in this video, and to not appreciate this is to miss entirely the point of this prediction that is from God, and it is to miss the point of this video and video channel. In the description box below, I will leave a link to the video titled God's Purpose for These Predictions. Alright, if you didn't know, U.S. Senate candidate from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, gave a speech on November 5th, and as he was delivering some very prophetic words, the flags behind him fell due to strong winds. I'm just going to play the clip and then explain this most amazing, profound sign. Also notice how there is little to no wind just prior to the flags blowing over, which would be why the flags would be standing up there without much support in the first place.
Wow, thank you. This is unbelievable, look at this. Thank you, Pittsburgh. Gosh. You know, there's a pro tip. Please, if you're going to give a speech after you've been recovering from a stroke, you really don't want to have to come before Barack Obama as the GOAT. So, Today, Dr. Oz is going to be standing with Donald Trump on the stage. And I'm going to be proud to be standing with a president that is 100% sedition-free. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use Pennsylvania. He spent $27 million to try to buy his seat. But Pennsylvania's seat is not for sale.
All right. Fetterman begins by saying that he had just had a stroke, but if you are going to have a stroke, you don't want to have one and then have to give a speech right before Barack Obama. He's talking about Barack Obama here. And then he goes on to say that his opposition, the opposition candidate, will be on stage on that same day with Donald Trump. President Trump, is God's trumpet that he has used to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs. President Trump is God's trumpet that he uses to highlight and confirm his signs. The word trump in archaic English means trumpet or the sounding of a trumpet. Donald Trump was born on a Sabbath day, and the portion of Torah that was read in synagogues on the day that Trump was born was the passage from the book of Numbers, in which God commanded the making of trumpets. Trump was born exactly 23 months, which happens to be exactly 700 days before Israel was reborn. And God used Trump in prophetic signs regarding the restoration of Israel. Donald Trump chose his running mate, Mike Pence, and their two names, Trump-Pence, hints at trumpets. Trump's presidency, including his election campaign, was synonymous with his border wall of security. Before the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment on ancient Jericho, the Hebrews blew trumpets. Before the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment on the ancient city of Jericho, the Hebrews marched around Jericho's walls of security 7 times over 7 days, while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets. This was a 3 sets of 7. In the book of Revelation, which describes God's judgment in the end times period, there are also 3 sets of 7 judgments. When the Hebrews blew the trumpets at Jericho, it was an announcement from God of judgment on the city of Jericho. Likewise, President Trump's presidency was an announcement of judgment on the nation of America, God's Gentile nation and the only other nation in history besides Israel that was founded on a relationship with God. This is why President Trump's election campaign and presidency were synonymous with his border wall of security, and why on the first day of his presidency, on Inauguration Day, President Trump was exactly 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old, which was 3 sets of 7, and paralleled the 3 sets of 7 in the book of Joshua. Through the symbolic very beginning of Trump's presidency, God announced judgment on the nation. Joshua, the leader of the Hebrews, led them around the walls of security 7 times over 7 days, while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets. On the day that President Trump was elected by 77 electoral votes, the leader of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, had been in power for exactly 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days. All right, after Fetterman said that his opposition candidate running would be on stage with Trump on the same day, he then said that he would be on stage with a former president that is 100% sedition-free. And this is the moment in which these flags fell behind him. As I just explained, President Trump and his border wall of security is symbolism for the walls of security that collapsed in God's judgment in the book of Joshua in the Bible. This is what is being hinted at with the collapse of these American flags. It is a judgment sign on America. God is communicating judgment warning for America. And he is communicating that the exact opposite of what Fetterman has just said is the truth, which is that Barack Obama is the sedition president. God has communicated the Rosetta Stone for understanding the left, which is that everything they accuse the opposition, the conservatives of doing, they are themselves that thing or are doing that thing. This is the Rosetta Stone for understanding the left. It is an old Marxist communist tactic that is being fully employed in recent years. That said, I don't believe that Fetterman fully realizes how seditious Barack Obama is. Barack Obama is also the Antichrist, and that is what is being communicated through this prophetic sign. There were 8 flags standing on the stage. 6 of them fell. 6 out of 8 flags hints at 6 times 8 equals 48. And it is predicted that after the death of Kamala Harris, Barack Obama will replace her and become the 48th president. Michelle Obama will become the 47th president and replace Joe Biden, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle as the 48th president. And this is why 6 out of 8 flags fell, because it hints at 6 times 8 equals 48. And the flags fell right at the time that Fetterman said that Barack Obama wasn't a sedition president. He implied that President Trump was the sedition president, but in fact, the exact opposite is true of both President Trump and Barack Obama. It is absolutely stunning how God has used President Trump to fool the masses and stir up and strike the hornet's nest of the godless left. And this is because, as Jesus warned, we must judge by righteousness and not by appearances. The appearance of Barack Obama and Trump's personality are designed by God to fool people in order to test them. Also, right when Fetterman said that his opponent, Dr. Oz, would be on stage with President Trump, but that he was going to be on stage with a president that was 100% sedition-free, the crowd shouted. In the book of Joshua, after the Hebrews blew the trumpets, they shouted, and then the walls of security collapsed in judgment. After Fetterman mentioned Trump, and then Barack Obama, and mentioned how Barack Obama was 100% sedition-free, the crowd shouted, and then the flags collapsed. Fetterman spoke about President Trump, God's trumpet, and then the crowd shouted, and then the American flags collapsed. And they collapsed due to an act of God, strong winds. In the book of Joshua, the walls of security collapsed due to an act of God, an earthquake. Archaeology proves that the walls of Jericho collapsed due to an earthquake. As was explained in the book of Joshua, there are 3 sets of 7. They marched around the walls of Jericho 7 times over 7 days, while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets. 3 times 7 days after these flags collapsed behind Fetterman, this judgment sign from God, was November 26, 2022, and the day of prophetic signs that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash 10 days later on December 6th. All right, God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections is an interconnected web, and the center of the web, like a spider's web, gets more and more focused and tighter as it gets closer to the center. This video was produced before December 6th, and as we can see, God was not finished with his trail of signs. The amazing signs that occurred on December 6th are explained in other videos. The death of Kirstie Alley, who starred in Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan. Also the death of the GOAT of boxing refereeing, which was judge symbolism, judgment symbolism. He was also a district judge, in fact. GOAT in pop culture stands for greatest of all time. GOAT in the Bible is symbolism for the Antichrist. He won 10 matches. the theme song for the Star Trek. The original is symbolism for Joshua in the Bible, the book of Joshua, and the Hebrews that blew trumpets for 7 days. 7 days, 10 days, 17 days. Also, the USS Enterprise's serial number is 1700. And the plot of the Star Trek show is the attack of one Starfleet reliant on the USS Enterprise. They both look like birds. It's a bird attack. It's a bird strike. They strike the engine just like the bird will strike Kamala Harris's engine. The Wrath of Khan is symbolism for the wrath of God. The beginning, symbolic beginning of the wrath of God and tribulation will be this event, which will be Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash, which will lead to her replacement with the goat Antichrist, etc., etc. It's amazing. It's explained in other videos, but anyway, this is all confirmation for adding 17 days. It also is for adding 10 days and then, or 7 days and then 10 days, because also December 13th was a major date in the Trail of Signs. Anyway, 17 days, and then that gets us to the 23rd, and the signs on this day give us another 3 days to get us to December 26th. And it was known prior to December 23rd that it would only be another step and not the date of the crash. It was known many days before the 23rd that that would be the case, even though God was pointing to the 23rd. And so there you have it. This is the Trail of Signs from the series of Utopia, which the purpose of which is to prove that the plot of the series Utopia is in fact reality. This is God communicating this. This is how he would do it if you think about it. It is beautiful. It's for those with eyes to see, but the prediction should shock people into realizing that this is true. One more thing before I play the Fetterman clip one more time, and then play a clip from another video that explains the signs that occurred on November 26th, which then point to the death of Kamala Harris on December 6th, is that after the flags fell, after he had mentioned Barack Obama as being 100% sedition-free, which revealed him to be the Antichrist, he said that the Senate seat was not for sale and that his opponent had spent $27 million. The reason for this is because God uses the number 27 as an emphasis of the number 9. 27 is 9 plus 9 plus 9, and God emphasizes a number through repeating it 3 times. The number 9 is the most important number in God's end times signs, as from the Bible, it symbolizes God's judgment. And so therefore, this mention of 27 million right after this prophetic judgment warning sign from God is a confirmation that it is a judgment warning sign from God. All right, one more thing. On the same day that these flags fell was the day that the Houston Astros won the World Series. God has used Houston because one reason is that it is essentially Harris County, and he has used it to point to Kamala Harris. It is also the 4th biggest city in the U.S., and Category 4 Hurricane Harvey hit the 4th biggest city in the U.S. with 4 feet of water over 4 days after the Great American Eclipse. And so the number 4 is associated with Houston and Harris County, and on the day of the Houston Astros World Series win, on the same day that the flags fell, the big dramatic game-winning home run was hit by player 44. And this, of course, hints at the 44th president, Barack Obama, and who will become president again through the death of Kamala Harris, hence Harris County. This big dramatic game-winning home run was from player 44, who had not been doing so well at that World Series postseason. But a news story regarding this is that before the game began, there was a couple of guys, I think it was the coach and another player, or maybe 2 players separately, came to him and said, "This is your day. You're the man today." In other words, it was a prophecy. They were prophesying that this guy was going to be the guy of the day. And then he was. He hit this game-winning dramatic home run to win the World Series. All right, now it was the fastest home run. The pitch that he hit was the fastest pitch he had ever hit to hit a home run at 99 miles per hour. And 99 is symbolism for judgment. As I just said, the number 9 symbolizes God's judgment. And this guy's known for hitting home runs. So for him to have this particular home run be the fastest pitch he ever hit as a home run is quite something. This home run, though, is also known for its length and height. It was a really dramatically hit home run. And the place that he hit it in Houston, Harris County, this stadium is known for it's got a big high wall in center field. It's the batter's eye wall. It's so that batters can see the ball when the ball is pitched from the pitcher because it's in the background, this wall. But this batter, player number 44, hit the ball super high and super far, and it was symbolism for a leap. And it was hit 450 feet. And that's symbolism for the 45th president, for which the 44th president, which is why player 44, will skip. The 44th president will skip the 45th presidency, which is, by the way, the big purpose for President Trump, God's trumpet. It was to be this presidency that trumpeted the Antichrist and the end times period of judgment and the destruction of America. That's the purpose of President Trump's presidency, the 45th presidency, that the 44th president will skip. And that's why this 450 feet home run that was super high and leapt over the high wall by player number 44. And this was the same day as this Fetterman candidate is speaking about the 44th president, Barack Obama, right at the moment that the flags fell, as he said that Barack Obama was 100% sedition free, because Barack Obama is the sedition president. But furthermore, in Bible prophecy, the Antichrist is referred to as the man of sedition. That's one of his titles. That's one of the Antichrist's titles in Bible prophecy. In other words, the day of this home run hit by player 44, on the same day as Fetterman spoke about Barack Obama not being the man of sedition, was all in order to point to Barack Obama being the man of sedition, the Antichrist. It was the purpose of these signs. It was to identify the Antichrist.
Wow. Thank you. This is unbelievable. Look at this. Thank you, Pittsburgh. Gosh. You know, there's a pro tip. Please, if you're going to give a speech after you've been recovering from a stroke, you really don't want to have to come before Barack Obama as the GOAT. So today, Dr. Oz is going to be standing with Donald Trump on the stage. And I'm going to be proud to be standing with a president that is 100% sedition-free. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. He's running to use Pennsylvania. He spent $27 million to try to buy his seat. But Pennsylvania's seat is not for sale.
Again, the flags collapsing is Joshua symbolism. Joshua led the Hebrews around the walls of security of the ancient city of Jericho before they collapsed in judgment. And it was a 3 sets of 7. They went around 7 times while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets. And 3 times 7 days after the collapse of these flags was November 26th. And the signs we received on November 26th that revealed and point to the day that Kamala Harris will die on December 6th, I will now explain. One more thing to add is that the 6 out of 8 flags, again, hinted at 48. 6 times 8 equals 48, and the 48th president. And 48 days after these flags fell was December 23rd, or was yesterday, in fact, the day of the prophetic signs that were expected in advance. I only figured out the 48 days, by the way, just now as I was re-editing this video. December 23rd was known to be a date that God was pointing to in an overwhelming manner prior to December 23rd. And that it would be a step in the trail of signs leading to the plane crash death of Kamala Harris on the 26th. That was known prior to December 23rd. Anyway, on December 23rd were the prophetic signs, which included the bomb cyclone and winter storm Elliott. Elliott's, the name origin of Elliott is Elijah. And there's more to be explained, and I hope to get a video produced explaining this today or tomorrow. But anyway, 48 days after the flags fell, 6 out of 8, which hints at 48, gets us to December 23rd. And of course, this hints at the 48th president. And the signs on December 23rd, the storm signs that covered Pennsylvania for that matter, which connects to this sign in Pennsylvania on November 5th, because it covered the whole Northeast. The signs on that day, or yesterday, included the 3rd sperm whale to beach in New York City there. I'll explain it in the other video. And the sperm whale was 3 years old and 30 feet long. Anyway, this hinted at adding 3 days to get us to December 26th. Another confirmation that the December 26th will be the big day of the big event that will lead to the rise of the Antichrist, the 48th president. All right, also, what's interesting too, and very important, is that this took place in Pennsylvania. The reason why it took place in Pennsylvania and why it is the candidate or the senator now from Pennsylvania is because Pennsylvania was the second state to join the Union, and this is hinting at the second presidency for Barack Obama, the 48th president. 23 days after November 3rd, on November 26th, the news broke that Irene Cara had died. Like Billy Joel, Irene Cara was known for her pop music hits. And like Billy Joel, Irene Cara won a Grammy Award. In particular, she was famous for 2 early 1980s pop music hits, the song Fame and Flashdance, What a Feeling. The lyrics of these 2 songs are full of pride, and the lyrics of the song Fame have to be the most ever symbolic of Satan. For the sake of saving time, I am going to read an email that I wrote to some friends to explain the prophetic signs that occurred on November 26th, which was 23 days after November 3rd, and the signs on November 3rd that pointed to the number 23. As was anticipated, we received the signs related to the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash on November 26th. Singer-actress Irene Cara died. She was 63 years old. 6 times 3 equals 6 plus 6 plus 6, which is Antichrist symbolism. Harris's death will lead to the rise of the Antichrist. Her fall in a plane crash will symbolize Luke 10:18, when Jesus said, "I saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven." Is there a pop music song with lyrics that are more Antichrist than Fame? Lucifer fell from heaven due to his pride. The song's lyrics are filled with pride, but there are also a few lines that relate to Luke 10:18 and Harris's fall from the sky in a plane crash. Here are some of the lyrics in the song Fame. I can catch the moon in my hand. Don't you know who I am? I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna learn how to fly high. In the Bible, in the book of Isaiah, it is said that Lucifer fell from the high place, which is a metaphor for heaven. And Jesus said that he saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven, which is what will be symbolized when Kamala Harris will fall from the sky after she is flying high in her plane. I feel it coming together. People will see me and cry. I think the lyric, I feel it coming together hints at the Antichrist kingdom coming together. More of the song's lyrics. I'm gonna make it to heaven. Light up the sky like a flame. Fame. I'm gonna live forever. Baby, remember my name. The explosion of the engine of Harris's plane will light up the sky. This is also a mocking of the second coming. Revelation 1:7. Behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who have pierced him, and all tribes of the earth will wail on account of him. Even so, amen. The parallel with this in the song Fame is the lyric, people will see me and cry, and also, light up the sky like a flame. I assume there will be many mourners of Harris as well. People will see me and cry. The song is perfect as symbolism for the death of Harris in a plane crash. This song is Harris's song. It is Harris's death song. It is the song that goes with the prophetic sign that will be her death in a plane crash. One other thing about this song that is Antichrist, which speaks to the vast majority of people on earth that are followers of the Antichrist, although they don't know it, is the lyric, I'm going to live forever. The spiritual truth is that although people intellectually know that they are going to die, they don't really believe it. They haven't had a full revelation that they are going to die, and therefore this life means nothing, because if there is no afterlife with God, therefore you cannot take anything with you, including memories, and very soon after, no one will remember your name. Hence the line in this song, baby, remember my name. In the Bible, the first lie that the serpent told Eve in the garden was that she will not die. In the end times, I do believe that somehow Satan, through the Antichrist, will promise some kind of immortality. The last lie will be like the first lie. This Irene Cara death prophetic sign is very symbolic of this as well. She died by herself in her home, and the big story is about remembering her name after her death, her fame, which we will all soon forget. Also, Irene Cara is famous for two songs. The other is her Flashdance What a Feeling song. The lyrics of Flashdance are similar to Fame and are full of pride and are Antichrist. Take your passion and make it happen. Beings believing. This is you only live once, YOLO, so live your life to the fullest, etc. Very Antichrist. This is the opposite of the example of Jesus, which was the sacrifice of his life for the sake of the kingdom. This is why Jesus said we need to hate our lives in this world. Jesus said that those that seek to preserve their lives will lose their eternal lives. He said that one needs to die like a kernel of wheat in the ground in order to grow and produce fruit. Speaking to his disciples, he said that those that do not produce fruit will be thrown into the fire. Jesus said that one needs to be born again, which implies a death of the self in this life and this world. This is what it means to follow Jesus, and this is something that the majority of quote-unquote Christians do not get and refuse to see, and use their false doctrines to deceive themselves, as they live their YOLO worldly lives that are barely indistinguishable from non-Christians. The song Flashdance What a Feeling is from the movie Flashdance, which portrays a cabaret dancer and includes in its plot strip dancing. It is widely speculated that Kamala Harris got her start in politics from being a whore, through sleeping with former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown. On this same November 26th date was the Spencer Tunick photo shoot of 2,500 nude people on the beach in Australia. This ties into the Irene Cara Flashdance sign with its theme of strip dancing. 2,500 people hints at the number 2,520, which is the number in the Bible that symbolizes the end times period of the Antichrist. For a few reasons, the scene is revolting for a born-again believer and lover of righteousness. One is the collective symbolism in this event. Everyone in the mass is doing the exact same thing, like mindless sheep. Their value and purpose is in benefiting the collective system. As well, this supposed sacrifice people made for the photo shoot was supposedly done in the name of a charitable cause for a greater good. The political left and collectivism and socialism are anti-God's principles. This photo shoot event is Antichrist for this reason. Also, the Antichrist was born on the 216th day of the calendar year. August 4th, 1961 was the date of Barack Obama's birth, the 216th day of the calendar year. 216 equals 6 times 6 times 6. November 26th, 2022 was exactly 215 months after the Indian Ocean tsunami, which is precisely what this mass nude photo shoot event is hinting at. For one of the images, all of the people laid down on their sides, which was symbolism for mass death. They did this facing the waves of the ocean. November 26th, 2022 marks the beginning of the 216th month since the massive prophetic Indian Ocean tsunami sign on December 26th, 2004. As explained in other videos, the Indian Ocean tsunami prophetic sign marked an exact, extremely prophetic from the Bible 20 years period to Hanukkah Day 1 in 2024, which will be Day 1 of the Messianic Age. This 216th month since the Indian Ocean tsunami will see the rise of the Antichrist. There will be mass death as a result of the Antichrist. Also, the Indian Ocean tsunami hints at Kamala Harris, who is of Indian descent. In the account of Noah's flood, the flood waters lasted for exactly 5 months. And exactly 5 months after this extremely prophetic, historic, and destructive flooding in St. Louis will be the date of the predicted crash of Kamala Harris in her airplane in St. Louis. This 5 months is also 153 days, and in Jesus' last miracle, 153 fish were caught in the net, which was symbolism for the end of the age of fishing for men before his second coming. 153 is 9 times 17, which hints at the president that was president from 2009 until 2017, and also first arrived in Washington, D.C. as the senator in the 109th Congress, lived on 109th Street while studying at Columbia University, and will return to the District of Columbia as the president after the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash during the 117th Congress, and after Michelle Obama will replace her as the vice president during the 117th Congress. And the predicted date that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis on December 26, 2022, will be exactly 6 plus 6 plus 6 years, which is also 6 times 6 times 6 months. Extremely prophetic, historic, and destructive flooding that was caused by the 9.0 earthquake in Indonesia that caused the Indian Ocean tsunami. 666 is symbolism for the Antichrist, the 44th president that grew up in Indonesia for 4 years. The Indian Ocean tsunami hints at Kamala Harris, who is of Indian descent. If you are a Christian, once this prediction has come to pass, you should know that you are obligated to share the video that you are currently watching and to share the videos on this channel, and to not ever stop sharing this video. The price you must pay for having learned this precious knowledge is to work towards letting others know about this information. And unless you are completely consumed with another ministry or have a health condition, you should know that you are obligated on a daily basis to hand out flyers that promote this video channel on street corners, car windshields, in busy parking lots, in mailboxes, or if anything, as you come across people in your daily life. For example, in the bank or in the aisles of the supermarket as you are shopping. If you are shy, you need to overcome this. Courage isn't a lack of fear, it is action in spite of it. Please contact me for the PDF file for the flyer. The main reason why many people will not agree with this statement that a Christian is obligated to work to get the news out to the world about this prediction is the bad Nicolaitan theology and doctrine that the vast majority of, quote, Christians, unquote, have, which is why the modern church, including and especially the evangelical church, is the lukewarm, stagnant church of Laodicea. And the very purpose of this prediction is to prove to these quote-unquote Christians that they have the Nicolaitan doctrine that Jesus said he hates and is coming to make war on with the sword of his mouth. Most quote-unquote Christians don't fear God, and they don't really get the Bible. And this is the primary reason and purpose for the end times period of the Antichrist. In short, it's time for those that have barely been doing anything for the kingdom to finally make some serious sacrifices that will cost them, and to do some serious work, and to use their bags of gold and produce some fruit before they are thrown into the fire. When this prediction has come to pass, it will be a very, very big bag of gold. I encourage you to use it. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs for the gullible that will believe it because they don't have a solid biblical worldview. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. The New Age or New Spirituality or Consciousness religion is evil deception from Satan. Satan and demons will give Catholics and New Agers spiritual experiences that they think confirm for them their beliefs, but these spiritual experiences are demonic deception for those that refuse to love the truth and so be saved. There is a spiritual reality behind the material world that we see. The wages for sin is death. Sin means to miss the mark. No one is good, all have sinned. Because of sin, people are captives of the ruler of this world, Satan. People's souls belong to Satan, whose power over people is death. God took the form of a man, Jesus Christ, and paid the ransom that is owed to the ruler of this world. Through Christ's death and resurrection, he defeated sin and he overcame Satan's power in death. It is through Christ and his Spirit that it is possible for everyone to be forgiven of their sin, and we can have eternal life if we choose it. We can choose to follow Jesus out of captivity from sin and Satan. Or we can choose to reject this and remain a slave to this world, sin, and to Satan. If one rejects Jesus Christ, after they die, they will pay the price for their sin in hell, and then they will die the second death, and their soul will cease to exist. Believing in Christ means much more than simple intellectual agreement. It means to repent of sin and completely commit one's life and become a willing slave to Jesus and his kingdom. Jesus said we need to be born again, which implies a death of the self and a death to this world. Believing in Jesus implies living out one's faith through taking action that typically involves risk and sacrifice. This demonstration of faith through action is what it means to have faith and to believe in Jesus. Some Christians will tell you otherwise, but they are deceived and they ignore countless passages in the Bible. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com.